Hello. The most crucial part of the IELTS is the writing part, where maximum people they face problems. So today I'm going to tell you few things which are very important to take into consideration for the writing part. There are two parts in the writing part. The first part is the letters, where you get different categories of the letters, like it can be a formal letter, it can be a semi-formal letter, or it can be informal letter. So how to deal with these categories of the letters, I'll be telling you later on. But now the other part which is important, that is essay part. It has more scoring as compared to the writing part 1. So you need to focus more on the writing part 2 as compared to the writing part 1. Here you are supposed to write down essays, and which are different categories of the essays you have to deal with. It can be opinion based, it can be discussion based. I'll be telling you more about it later on. Now, one thing is very important to keep into consideration is how the essay is being evaluated by the examiner. What are the parameters you need to take into consideration before writing any category of the essay? So let me tell you, you are being judged on 4 things. The first thing is your task achievement. In the task achievement, whether you have responded to the task in a proper way or not, examiner is keen to know about it. The second thing will be occurrence and cohesion, we call it, whether you are linking each and every paragraph with in a proper way or not. That again you have to take into consideration. This is very important. Your introduction part, your body part should be connected to your introduction part, and your body para 2 should be connected to body para 1, and your conclusion has to be the overall summary of the IELTS. This is very important. So you have to link the paragraph accordingly. The third is lexical resource. Lexical resource means you have to take care of the vocabulary part. You have to use a wide range of the vocabulary to make your essay very effective. The fourth thing which you have to understand, the grammatical range and accuracy. It means all the preposition, conjunction, everything in grammar part that you have to take care of. There should not be any kind of spelling mistakes. There cannot be any kind of grammatical mistakes. So take these things into consideration to make your essay very effective. Let's discuss about how to deal with different categories of the essay now. As you know that in IELTS examination we have 5 categories of the essay which you get in the exam. So you can see the list of these 5 categories of the questions: opinion based, discussion and opinion based, cause and solution based, advantages and disadvantages, and do you think its advantages outweigh its disadvantages? So I'm telling you in detail now how to deal with these categories of the essay. The first one is the opinion based. How can you check this is opinion based essay? The question will always be, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the statement? So if you say this thing, if you receive this category of the question, that to what extent do you agree or disagree, you can go for agree part, or you can go for disagree part, or you can say I'm in partial accord with this statement. That means if you say I agree, your complete essay has to be in agree part. If you say I disagree with this statement, your complete essay has to be disagree part. And if you say partial accord, that means half you agree with this statement and half you disagree with this statement. So your body para 1 has to be agree part, and body paragraph 2 has to be disagree part, and finally your conclusion part has to be. Now the second category of the question which you get it, that is discussion and opinion based. There is a difference between opinion based and discussion and opinion based. Here the question will be like this: some people they feel tourism should be promoted by the government, others they feel that it should not be promoted by the government. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Here the question is clearly being asked to you, discuss these 2 views, then give your opinion. So you are supposed to write down the first view of the people in the first paragraph by using the formula PEE, that stands for point, explain, exemplify it. And the other side, on the other hand, you can discuss the other side view of the people. Then finally when you write down the conclusion part, your personal opinion has to be there. The third category of the question, that is called cause and solution based essay. Here you are supposed to write down the causes in the first paragraph, body para 1 I mean to say. Writing part, in writing part 2, that means that is your body paragraph 2, you are supposed to write down the solutions of that, and finally conclusion part. The fourth category of the question which you get it, advantages and disadvantages. What are the advantages of this and what are the disadvantages? So you are supposed to write down the advantages by using the formula. Make sure PEE formula is compulsion there. This is very important to use this formula. In the body para 1, when you are writing the advantages, you can simply use the point of advantage, explain the advantage and exemplify that advantage. And if you want to add more information in the body para 1, you can use some linkers like moreover, furthermore, you can say. And body para 2 of this one will be disadvantages by using the same formula. And finally, the conclusion part has to be there. And last category, this is a tricky kind of question. Some people, they are confused with these two categories of the questions. Let me tell you the difference. Here, the question is being asked to you about the advantages and disadvantages. But here, if you talk about this last category of the question, here you are supposed to write down more advantages as compared to some part of drawback. For example, it says, do you think its advantages outweigh its disadvantages? That means, do you feel it has more advantages than its drawbacks? If you feel yes, then why do you think that? So you can have two body paragraphs of the advantages and one short paragraph of the drawbacks, and finally you can write down the conclusion part. And most important thing about the essays, guys, do not write down less than 250 words. If you write down even a single word less than that, you are tend to lose straight away 1 band scoring on your task achievement. So make sure that this redundancy should not be there in the essay. Let's discuss about the writing part 1. In journal writing part 1, you get different categories of the letter. The first one is the formal letter, second one is semi-formal letter, and the third one is the informal letter. You may get any category of the letter in the examination, but you need to know how to deal with these three categories of the letter. The first is the formal letter. Any letter that you are writing to the higher authority, that is known as formal letter. It can be a job letter, it can be a complaint letter, or it can be any other kind of letter which you are writing to the higher authority, that is called formal letter. Now, what examiner is very keen to know while going through your letter part, you need to understand the sequence of that. First, the structure of, I mentioned here, the structure of the formal letter you will always start the formal letter with dear sir or madam, because you don't know the last name of the person or you don't know the name. So you are representing to the higher authority, so you'll be starting with dear sir or madam. Your paragraph 1 will be the purpose of the letter. You can say, I'm writing this letter in regards to, you can say, I'm writing this letter to express my concern about, I'm writing this letter to express my dissatisfaction with, or you can say, through the column of your esteemed newspaper, I would like to draw your kind attention towards blah blah things. So anything you can use in the paragraph 1, that is the purpose of the letter. The second paragraph 2 will be bullet point. Make sure that you have 3 points in the letter which you have to explain in detail. Bullet point 1 and explain it. Then you'll be having paragraph 3, bullet point 2 and explain it. Then paragraph 4, bullet point 3 and explain it. And make sure you use the formal words. Do not use informal words, else you are tend to lose your scoring on that. Then finally, before this, yours faithfully, you can also end up the letter by saying, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Or you can say, I look forward to your swift resolution to this matter. Anything you can use in that. Then your ending of the letter will be yours faithfully and your complete name in that. The second category we are going to discuss now, that is semi-formal letter. Semi-formal letter is a letter which you are writing to your neighbors or your landlord. When you know the last name of the person, it can be your teacher as well. So you'll be starting that letter by saying, Dear Mr. Smith. Make sure, guys, you cannot use Mr. with the first name, so you have to use the last name with that. Now, let's discuss about the semi-formal letter. Semi-formal letter is a letter which you are writing to your neighbors. It can be a landlord or it can be a teacher whom you are acquainted with. So in this semi-formal letter, you need to make sure that you have to start with Dear Mr. Smith. With Mr., make sure never use the first name of the person. We always use the last name with Mr. So you can say Dear Mr. Smith or you can say Dear Mr. Malhotra. The rest structure will remain same. Finally, when you end up this letter semi-formal, you have to say yours sincerely and your complete name. That's very important. So I'm just giving you an example of the semi-formal letter. You may receive a question like this. You are going out of your home for a few weeks. During your absence, there is no one to take care of your dog. Write a letter to your neighbor, intimate them what to do in your absence, how to feed your dog. So all bullet points you'll be getting up in the question. So this is semi-formal letter which you have to deal accordingly. Now the third category of the letter, that is called informal letter. Informal letter is a letter which you are writing to your friends or colleagues. You are acquainted with your friends, so you have to write down the letter by saying, Dear Raj. Here you can say the first name of the person, Dear Raj. And it's not compulsory to use here, the purpose of the letter. You can simply say, hope you're doing well. These words, informal words, you can use in the informal letter. But make sure that when you're ending up this statement, you have to say with warm regards and your name. Or you can also say with warm love with that. So these are the three categories of the letter we have discussed. We will discuss about it in detail in our further sessions. Thank you.